What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to check out a bike from Freedare. It's called the Saiga. It's a 26x4 fat tire e-bike, but what really makes this bike stand out is some of the unique features it has, like ride modes, ride tracking, a GPS locator, and a theft detection system that will send you a text message alert if anybody messes with your bike. So let's check it out. All right, folks, we're checking out this Saiga bike from Freedare. And when I checked the website this morning, this bike was going for $14.99, and there's two color options. This is the silver, and you can also get it in black. Now, I do want to walk you through all the components and specs on this bike, but I'm going to try to do so really quickly because what I really want to get to is the ride footage and also the information about the app and all the unique features there. But let's start walking through this bike real fast. Up front, we got 26x4 fat tires, Kenda tires, nice tread pattern, not overly loud on the road. It is an X-Show front fork, through axle, not a quick release. And it does have this adjuster on the top, which has some fine-tune adjustments as opposed to some of the ones that are just kind of like an off-on switch. So I do like that. I was able to dial it in nicely. The brakes on the bike are Tektro E350s, 160 millimeter disc. Here's your brake levers. No problems at all. Great brakes. I didn't really have any issue with the stopping power on this bike at all. You can see I got the model without a rack or fenders. I would suggest that if you're going to buy this bike, spring for the fenders. Get the fenders because when I hit some of the muddy, slippery, wet stuff, it did kind of make a mess of this bike having no fenders on it. Mounted up on your fork here is a headlight. It's wired into the bike. However, the taillight is not wired into the bike. It's a battery operated taillight that just clips onto the seat here, and there's an off and on switch. So kind of a manual taillight, and of course, no brake light because that is not wired into the bike. Now up here at the front, you can see we do have mounting spot on the headset for a front basket, and they do sell a front basket for this bike. The wiring, I mean, it is what it is on e-bikes. There's a lot of wires. They did their best here with a lot of wire wrap to try to manage this. It's not too bad, but not the cleanest one I've ever seen. Got a little pigtail coming off of the screen here, which is your USB port if you need to plug something in. It's right there, so you can remove it if you don't need it. You just unplug it right from the back of the display there. What else? Handlebars are 28 inches wide and 44 inches from the ground to the grips. So at 28 inches wide, the handlebars felt pretty good. I like wide handlebars. It makes me feel like I got good control over the front end of the bike. What I do want to point out right here is this zoom right here, this little extension, which kind of sets the handlebars out away from you a couple inches. If you're like me and you want to be pretty upright when you ride, you might want to get a shorter one of these. They look like this. There you go, looks like that. Slap one of these on there, it'll bring the handlebars back to you an inch or two, and they're pretty cheap on Amazon. I think they're like 12 bucks. For the handlebar controls, we've got locking rubber grips with a palm rest on them, a right-hand thumb throttle, 7-speed Shimano shifter here for your mechanical gears. They do give you a bell, your control panel, another rubber grip on this side. Let's turn the display on so you can see what that looks like. Just hold the power button for a few seconds, pops on. And it's a nice looking display. Full color display, gives you the speed really big there in the center. Battery up here on the top, odometer, trip meter, pedal assist, everything you need. Nice looking display. There really isn't a whole lot of programming to do in the display. If you hold plus and minus, you can see you get display settings. If I go into it, you can change, you can reset the trip meter, toggle between miles per hour and kilometers an hour, set the brightness, and then for how you want to see your battery, if you want it in percentage or if you want it in like voltage. Other than that, there's really nothing in here to change. Even if you go into the advanced settings, there's nothing even in there. I'll toggle down to it so you can see. Reset to defaults or enter a password. You know, I don't ever put passwords on bike. I find it annoying to have to type the password to get in all the time, so I'll just go back out and exit. So really not a whole lot you can change in this display as far as settings go. Now for your battery pack, it is a 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery pack. It's right here, integrated into the frame. Put the key in on the other side and push this button right up here, and it will pop out the front of the bike. Pretty easy to take in and out. And I should note here that the battery is UL certified. I saw on their website they had the 2271 certification and they had the 2849 certification, which covers all the components of the bike. So fantastic to see that, all the necessary UL certifications on this e-bike, which are becoming more known, more popular, and I think you're gonna see a lot more of that in the future. Now for the seat, out of the box it was a little bit stiff. However, it did soften up some as I rode it. I think I broke in the foam a little bit. but no big deal to change that out to whatever suits you the best. Now for the minimum seat height, I'm going to give you two different numbers. if you remove this taillight, see that clips onto the seat post there? If you take this off and put the seat the whole way down, it's about 34 inches from ground to the top of the seat. Having this taillight clicked on there like that, it brings it up like another inch. It's like 1.35 minimum seat height if you have the taillight on. I always like to give people an idea what the ride position is like on these bikes. They're pretty large bikes. So I got some clips to show you of me at 6 feet tall, mounting this bike and riding down the street, what that's like. It's really no issue for me. I'm pretty long-legged, long arms, 6 feet tall. I can usually ride these bikes no problem. Where it becomes more of an issue is if you're a shorter rider. My wife, who's 5'4", this felt really large for her. Because of the seat height was a little taller than she likes. She usually rides with the seat height around 32. So at 34, she could kind of barely get her toes down. And then once she's up and riding on the bike, it was a little bit better. But with the handlebar extension coming out, it was a little bit stretched out for her. Now I know it's personal preference how you want your ride position to be on a bike, but hopefully seeing somebody 6 feet tall and also 5'4" gives you a better feel of what this bike is going to be like for you. Hiding here at the bottom of the seat post, I believe this is your GPS tracker and anti-theft system. I gotta believe the controller is probably inside here underneath the battery pack. Controller is a 25 amp max current, which is actually pretty good. Most bikes are giving you, I think, 22. So 25 is pretty good. For the gearing, you got 44 tooth chain ring up front and a 14/28 freewheel in the back. I do have a clip of me pedaling at high speed. You can get a sense of what that's like in 7th gear and how fast your legs are spinning. I still had some pedal feeling, so I'm gonna say that's adequate gearing for this bike. For the pedal assist system, it has a torque sensor. Worked fantastic. You know, it's keeping track of how much pressure you're putting on the pedals, and it did a great job. It worked really well. You do have rear rack mounts here and here. Same on the other side. They do sell a rack for this bike as well. You got a derailleur guard, which is great. If the bike ever falls over, you're not gonna mess up your derailleur at all. And in the back is your Bafang G062 motor, 750 watt, great motor, love it, plenty of power, and you'll see some of that in the ride footage. That's the Freedare Saiga. What do you think? You know, I've used bikes before that have had their own apps for ride tracking, but I've never had a bike that had the diagnostics, the anti-theft alerts via text message, the GPS locator. So I really like the direction they went with their app. I find those features much more useful than just ride tracking, because truthfully I can track my ride on any bike just using my cell phone. So having the other features I think is a really cool addition. I hope you got some good information out of today's video, and if I missed something and you still have a question, drop in the comments. I'll do my best to answer if I can. And if you decide that this Freedare Saiga is the bike for you, you can use my link in the description below. That'll help me keep making informative videos for all of you. And if you found this one helpful, entertaining, do me a favor and consider hitting subscribe, coming back for more.